Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Quant Network, aka QNT. So let's just dive in. And let's start off with this video here from Andrew Carrier over at Quant. He is the marketing guy helping Quant Network deliver the future of finance today. And we do see here what is Quant Network's purpose. Gilbert Verdian explains it. Now, I want you to all understand that when we really kind of look at these events, so this is through the FinTech for Good, FTC 2022, you see some of the gold sponsors behind Gilbert Verdian, actually, JP Morgan, Polymesh, Swift, and even Free Market. Obviously, Swift and JP Morgan being like two of the biggest players around this. Swift is a big one. Swift has 11,000 plus financial institutions under its belt, 25% of the global financial institutions, which is a very large aspect. But listen close to this video as we do see Quant being really kind of talked up in terms of its overall purpose, and then we will get into the idea of how this comes to be. So listen closely, it's about 25 seconds long, and then we will listen into another video, and then we will get into talking about some incredible thoughts around Quant.
Fantastic, Dan. Thank you. And Gilbert.
Hi, thank you so much for the invitation to be here. Gilbert Verdian, I'm the CEO at Quant. We're an infrastructure company, so what we do is really transform how payments and financial services can seamlessly work across networks globally without borders, leveraging blockchain and DLT technology and just making it simple for mainstream integration.
So mainstream innovation around finance as well as payments. Seems very easy, straightforward, everything that we have addressed around Quant. Now, how is this going to be? What's going to happen? And how do we get there? Well, here we have a video from Quant Network. This got posted on December 1st. We see there is more to blockchain interoperability than merely choosing the right technology. As Gilbert Verdian explains, it requires global collaboration. That's why we're working with ISO standards to create the blockchain standard ISO TC307. Now, I'm going to talk about that standard here in a second, but listen closely to this video.
What we set out to do was really shape where the industry should go. And we've taken a very collaborative global approach to this by shaping what the standards should be and establishing different types of standards at different levels within different international organizations. So they're all worked on collaboratively with the industry, and they're all agreed with all members and all participants of the industry. So it's not forcing standards on top of existing systems or vendors or technology. It's actually collaboratively coming up with what a standard has to be for the industry to adopt. So that's the work that we've done with ISO, with ISO TC307, which is the blockchain ISO standard. The concept of that was to create something similar to the payment standards that we have, like 222. Separate to that, we've been collaborating on numerous levels in numerous governments and other organizations, but we've also started creating protocol standards within the IETF and with MIT.
And you can really see their initiative around creating these standards that will ultimately power the future of DOT, and which I also believe will be the core infrastructure of every industry. The interesting thing about this I do want to bring up, and the one major thing that I also want to focus on here, is what ISO TC307 will achieve. You hear him, mention ISO 20022. I do think that is a big standard. I think that's going to open a lot of the. I always say like ISO 220 or 222 doesn't necessarily mean that crypto will be used at all. What ISO 222 really does is it allows this fragmented system that we're running on right now in terms of these standards around messaging formats. It opens the dynamic around messaging. It allows for better interoperability as well as transparency and things like that, but it's not like a huge upgrade to the overall system. What I think that will be is ISO TC307. I think that this is the standard everyone that is in crypto should actually focus on, instead of speculating on what ISO 222 will actually bring and achieve. This is a standard that is implemented and it is being utilized right now around a lot of major networks. Here we actually have from the Australian Payments Network. So we do see ISO TC307 blockchain and electronic DLTs. We are responding to the increasingly global nature of payments through our work on standards. Now, this got posted back in 2017. It does address a few things back in 2016 as well, but this is an article that I believe is crucial and key for what we are seeing around crypto today, and why I believe that this standard that Quant themselves has developed is so important to this entire industry. So we do see our emerging technology lead, Nick Cliff, took part in the first meeting of the International Technical Committee on Standards, the ISO TC307 blockchain and electronic DLTs, met at the International Convention ICC Sydney. Around 100 delegates from the 17 participating and observing countries worked to explore the future of blockchain technology via an international standard. Now, we do see back in September 2016, the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, approved Standards Australia's proposal for the establishment of international standards on blockchain. In its role as leader of this committee, Standards Australia will help guide the future direction of international standards to support the rollout of blockchain technology. Now, here is the overall idea of what is being focused on here. So you see a few things. One, reference architecture, taxonomy, and ontology, security and privacy, identity, use cases, and also smart contracts. Additionally, the committee identified that work may be necessary in the future in the areas of terminology, governance, and interoperability, with the terminology being treated as a priority by the committee, because they want these major standards to be developed, they want these major standards to be rolled out, and ultimately they want these standards to allow for this technology to disrupt as well as innovate beyond the means of what we have currently in terms of our technological arsenal. But we do see down here that contributing to the development of standards for the payment system forms an important part of our role as an industry association, and we look forward, was an important part of our role as an industry association, and we look forward to helping industries participate in the shaping of this emerging technology. And yes, I do think that this technology itself is going to be very, very large. I think that this ISO TC307 will help these major areas like the Australian Payments Network, as well as many other major networks out there, roll out this technology, roll out blockchain technology. This is going to be huge for the future of blockchain and DLT. That's why this standard is so important. I do think that when we look at what Quant is trying to achieve here through this standard, it is something to definitely watch for. And this also kind of goes into what they are doing with LAC Chain, as they do also even mention that down here. They do talk about their work with LAC Chain in South America. If you guys did want to listen closely to this video as well, this is about 1 minute and 18 seconds long, and then we will move on to talk about a few other things as well.
Financial services have a very complex transformation. It takes 30 years to evolve every cycle, and when you transform, it's quite disruptive, especially for businesses, regulators, as we've seen very recently, and then for consumers at the end. What our mission is to make that simple. The transformation occurs right now to move digital. You know, everything is becoming tokenized, digitized. DLT is the core of that technology, and you know what we see is enabling that for everyone. You know, it shouldn't be limited to mature organizations, developed countries. It should be global, because the very nature of financial services and transactions today is very global. We're in a very hyper digital world. COVID has accelerated that. Everything we do is quite digital, and it's only going to get even more complex and more digital. So for us, it's really taking things that have been left behind or not evolved as fast, and you know, kind of upgrading them by transforming them to the latest tech, which is digital assets. And that's what we've been doing in Latin America for 12 countries, which is quite exciting for us.
That's great, fantastic. And I think
Financial services.
And I love to hear him talk about the core infrastructure which will be built on DLT. I mean, like, this is going to be a global initiative, a global rollout of this technology. It's going to be very, very exciting, and it's going to be through things like what Quant has been centered on for so long, which is, you know, centering itself around interoperability, connecting these two worlds to one, because we are in a hyper digital world. We are seeing things transition so fast, especially being a part of crypto. So it's very exciting. Now, also, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about tokenization. So Going back to November 28th, we did see Quant post this. So this was part 2 in our series on tokenization explores new use cases by alternative fund managers. Everything from real estate to private credit, tokenization has clear potential to improve the issuance, exchange, and servicing of assets. Now, I thought this was very interesting. I don't want to talk more so about this. I don't want to open this and break this fully down because obviously we've talked about tokenization so much in the past. I might do a separate video on tokenization on Quant Network and why that could also be a big thing. But one thing that I did want to bring this up with is this HSBC report. Shout out to Lord Quintonian. This is Beg Begs 30K over on Twitter. So we do see an HSBC report on asset tokenization reaching a total estimate of $24 trillion by 2027. I choose QNT as my play to have part of this future. And here you guys have what is asset tokenization. They fully break this all down. Rapid growth of tokenized assets. And then we have a quoted tweet down here from UST. This is their partnership with UST. We have partnered with UST Global, a leading digital transformation solutions company to support banks and capital markets participants with DLTs, tokenization, and digital assets. I do think that the company that corners the market on tokenization is going to be very, very large. I talk about this a lot with Hedera. I even talk about this with XRP. I think that a lot of these major DLTs are focused on this, but you do see some of the dematerialized / physical assets today, stocks and bonds, real estate, sustainable assets, and even physical assets. And then on the side, you do see fractionalization, tokenization, smart contracts, DLT being at the core front of that, and also the foundational technology. It's very interesting, right? Because I've always said tokenization is going to be so much larger than what anyone can really kind of, believe. And I think it's simply because they don't understand how big of a benefit tokenization actually is to a lot of these major markets. I mean, real estate by itself, if we tokenize just 1% or even 10% of that market. Just 1% of that market itself would change the entire trajectory of crypto, by the way. I mean, it's a $326 trillion global market. Absolutely absurd. That would change everything. Now, I do think that tokenized markets could be potentially worth $24 trillion as well by 2027. But I think that we could see an even heightened growth from 2027 to 2030 is going to be a very, very interesting time to be in this market because I think that by then this market should have matured to the point of full-on mass adoption within the institutional grade sector. I think that retail itself, most individuals that are outside of crypto at that point in time will most likely be utilizing crypto without even knowing it. And I think that that's going to be a big shift that happens where you're talking to people and you're like did you know about this crypto asset, and they're like no, and then you talk about an app that they use and all of a sudden boom, they're utilizing that asset without even knowing. Like that's going to be such an incredible time to be in this market still, because that you were so early, years and years away from the big shift that actually happens, and that is going to be centered on mass adoption. So very exciting. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Wherever you guys are on this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.